Okay, for the next step, we're going to work on the rakers, which are these kind of Y-shaped teeth along here. So this saw came with these sides straight up and down basically, and we've cut the top off when we jointed it so that they're all the same height. So what I need next to do is to file this raker gullet deeper, because I like to have it about this angle so it comes from the gullet all the way up to the tip in a straight line. You can see these when we jointed it, we've got a little flat on the top of each, so I need to bring this deeper. First thing I'll do is I'm going to protect myself. So I've got the cut resistant gloves, and I also made these pieces of wood that have a kerf in them so that I can fit them down over the teeth on each side. And then I clamp it in place with these clamps, and then I'm going to file that gullet a little deeper. And I like to clamp on as close to where I'm working on both sides so that it's as tight in here and there's not much chatter. And then these are to protect me because I'll be working here and then I can lean on it and work on it as I go. So the first thing I'm going to do then is use what's called a tri-square file. It's three-sided. There's 60 degrees on each, makes 180. And so I just put this in the groove, hold the top flat, and go ahead and do my stroke through. And I'll do several of these. And as you get down deeper, you'll see this one I've gotten about halfway down through it. And this one I've gotten all the way down to where I want to stop. And where I want to stop is when this point is just almost perfectly sharp. And then I sharpen it just a little bit at the end with a separate file. So that's the step of deepening the gullets on the rakers. And then the next step is to swage the rakers. And that's to bend this tip over. You can see this one's a little bit curved. The idea is that when it goes through the wood, the side cutters cut a slice on each side of the kerf at the bottom, and then the raker, if it's scoop shaped, will pick that up and scoop it out and carry it out and drop it outside the wood. If they're square edged like this, it just kind of plows along. Whereas if it's bent, it's going to scoop it up, and it's much more efficient, less work. So that's the next step. Can you hand me the hammer and the pin that are over there? So what I've got here is my same hammer that I used for straightening and setting, the same pin. And then I've got a tool called a raker depth gauge. And on this, there's a pin that's adjustable in the middle, and then the 2 feet on each side. So you would set it on top of these adjacent cutters, and then the pin goes on the tooth you're working on. And if it rocks this way, that tooth is too high. If it sits there and you can move it back and forth like here, see, I can move it back and forth and it doesn't even touch and doesn't rock. So this one's either too low or the right height. In this case, it's the right height because I've worked on it already. But if they're already too low, you won't see a reflection up there, and it'll just slide back and forth. So what I do is I tap on this tooth. I'll work on this one, and I tap on it to bend it until this doesn't rock anymore. And I do kind of a sharp angle so that I'm not just bending the tip down. I want to bend the side of it a bit. And then I just tap on it. And as it goes, I start tipping it back up a little bit like so. And then I check to see if I've got the right height. In this case, I did. It's not rocking anymore. So that's called swaging the rakers to the right height. If it's a little bit high, but you like the curve that's on it, you can also file it just a little bit. And I use a diamond feather file for that. It's really a kind of a delicate file. It doesn't take too much metal, but you can file it just at a bit of an angle here or here to finish the sharpening on it. So that's called swaging the Rakers, that bending part.